the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, and welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today, I am with a MS warrior friend of mine that I have known for almost about a year now. I met Kathy through TikTok, and the thing that what's really amazing about Kathy, she's had MS as long as me, 27 years, and she is the owner and host of MS Disrupted, which she is a personal trainer that works with people that have MS and, to keep them their mobility. And we're going to talk about her journey with creating that program. And we're also going to talk about something that is not talked about a lot with chronic diseases, and that's having a narcissistic relationship, which Kathy does unfortunately have experience with that, and she wants to talk about that. But I want to welcome Kathy to the podcast. How are you doing today, Kathy?
I'm great. Thank you again. It's been so great to first meet you. And we've got some things in common, like, Let's Go Blue. And that's something really fun.
Yep.
So it's been great to call you through the years, text you and say, what are we doing? Are we going to win? What's happening?
I know, right?
So that's been really fun.
And
yeah. We need to have a...
And I do got to give you a shout out. Kathy is such a diehard Michigan fan. She told me the first time that I talked to her, she said, Brian, I am so gung-ho Michigan. I named my first son Bo. And I was just like, oh
yes,
my God, that is so awesome. I mean,
I did.
To me, that's like go blue, you're true blue all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. There was not even a thought process. It was like, well, what are you going to nickname him? I like nickname him. His name's Bo.
Right. That's all you need.
After the greatest coach. Yeah. There's no other name.
Absolutely. So, I love it.
Yeah. We bleed blue. Yeah. So for sure.
So
absolutely.
Kathy,
so yes, we have had MS for the same amount of years.
I know.
What a joyful thing to like celebrate, right?
Yeah, I don't know. At least it brought us together.
Ooh.
But
right. So there you go.
We had such a kind of a similar journey in our diagnosis. I know you were a runner. Just kind of tell everybody, how you ended up getting diagnosed and how you got to where we're at.
Well, so I was always super athletic from, I think, the time I came out of my mother's womb. I just started running, and I really loved all sports, even the ones they said I couldn't play back then, like football. I was like, what? So I really loved every sport, and I wanted to play everything. And then I loved coaching, and just really loved movement. I knew I wanted to be a trainer. And, so bad, Brian, that I did corporate travel, and I would write on the whiteboard who is going to train with me at lunchtime. And they would be like, oh my gosh, seriously, this lady's nuts.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so important back then.
Right.
I didn't know I had MS then, but I thought, it's so important that we have movement. And, I was undecided what I wanted to do getting my degree, and did I want to go into physical therapy? And I love psychology, and my professors would be like, psychology, you'll bring all these people home with you.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, okay, well, maybe social work, you don't have that. Your heart's too soft.
Yeah.
Okay. everything I wanted. They were really, it was a really good. I mean, we know Michigan, they were great with guiding me in different places that honestly would not have been good spots for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I really had so many things I wanted to do. And the big thing that I did want to do, and before I was diagnosed, is I wanted to go into not social work, but I loved during high school working with special ed. And that was something I truly enjoyed. I loved how when I walk in a room to go work with the kids, I could not pull anything over on them. I mean, I loved how they would know my mood no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, I'm fine. And they would I love their hearts, and they would just know, exactly how I felt. And I really enjoyed working with special needs. And then in doing that, I really, as well with that, being a part of things, Special Olympic kind of things and stuff like that, it already started getting my heart kind of set for working more with special needs,
mm-hmm.
not knowing what was coming, of course.
Right.
And really wanted to train. I really enjoyed that. And so having my heart kind of set on those things, as I was kind of preparing, when we're 20, we think we're going to accomplish everything. We're going to change the world.
Yep.
And if people would only ask, if the presidents would only ask us, we know everything, right?
Right.
So I had so many dreams and I wanted to do everything. And then the diagnosis came, and I truly had no idea. I went to the ophthalmologist, and I had some funky things going on, but I wasn't going to tell anybody because those were for, babies. I mean, it was like,
right.
Yeah, I got a numb leg and I get this and that, but I don't need to go to the doctor. I probably pulled a nerve.
Right.
And I didn't go to the doctor until I lost eyesight in my right eye. And then I thought I'll go see an ophthalmologist, probably, whatever. He knew pretty quickly. And I didn't realize that ophthalmologist actually diagnosed multiple sclerosis patients often when they have optic neuritis. And that's what I had.
Yep.
So sent me to Beaumont, and they knew right away.
So, and how old were you at this time, Kath?
I was in my 20s.
You were in your 20s.
So I wasn't 30, so I was about 26, 27.
So did they get you on a DMT right away? I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was already diagnosed with, slowing back up. So I was a little bit older. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis first. Mm-hmm. Then, so I was about 27, 28, diagnosed with MS. They missed the MS diagnosis. Wow. Then once the eyesight happened, then they caught the MS.
Okay.
All pretty quickly. So went in for an MRI. Did not have to have the, I didn't have to have the spinal tap. I had already done all that fun.
Yeah. So
they did. There were only a couple. And my choices at that time, it was back, when they gave you the VHS tape.
Right.
And you got to see like an older person strolling. And I was like, what in God's name is that? Or going on a very soft bicycle ride. And I just looked at that and I said, oh no, that's not going to be my life. That will not be my life. And I remember throwing the VHS tape, really mature, and saying, nope, not going to happen. And I started running. I wasn't, I was into sports. So you didn't do like endurance running, but that's what I decided I was going to do. I was going to run until this disease was gone.
Yeah.
Not intelligent, but that's what I was going to do. So honestly, Brian, what made no sense to me was I watched my grandfather have this disease, and I saw my aunt have this disease, and I heard what they told them. Just rest. You need the energy. Yeah. And I saw them rest until they were dead. And so it made no sense to me. Our bodies will atrophy.
Yeah.
And I watched them until they couldn't move, until they were in the bed with blank eyes.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I will listen. I'm such a rule follower. I will listen, but I won't listen to this part. And I finally found a neurologist that I truly loved, and he got me and I got him, and we did movement together. And I would say something crazy like, I'm going to run a full marathon. And he would say, oh, okay. So the next infusion I got, he would sit me next to someone who did a full infusion and then had a terrible relapse. And then he'd just look at me and I would say, wow, this wasn't at all on purpose. So he had a great way of dealing with me, and I truly loved him and listened to him. So.
Yeah. So the amazing thing to me, Kathy, is, because I was a runner too, and I did a triathlon, and I know how much work that is, and I know how hard that is. And when I got diagnosed with MS, my running was over. I mean, I never ran.
Yeah.
I never ran again. And for you to actually just attack this disease and actually complete a full marathon, diagnosed with MS.
I didn't do a full. I only did a half.
Okay, even a half. I don't care. I don't care if it's a 5K.
Right.
You ran a half marathon. That is unbelievable. With
I
multiple
did
sclerosis.
5 of them.
You've done 5
or 6 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Kathy. And another thing that I totally agree, because you attacked it the exact same way that I did, because I was 5 years out of playing at Michigan. And, when I got diagnosed, and my doctor's like, I said to my neurologist, I'm like, what do I need to do? And he's like, don't do anything any different than you're doing, Brian. And I'm like, well, I work out.
Love that.
I work out 6 days a week. I'm all right to do that. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, your body's going to tell you. Your body's going to tell you when you can't do it. So, and that's the way I approach the disease from day of diagnosis. I'm like, you know what? If it's going to take me out, I'm going to go down with a hell of a fight.
Yes. Yep. And the things I tell my clients too, Brian, is that, we had to learn this without any help, right? Because nobody back then was like cheering you on to exercise, because that wasn't something that they knew. Mm-hmm. But, we had to figure out for our bodies what was MS sore after exercising and what was MS sore, what was exercise sore. So we knew that. We knew the exercise sore. We knew we had a hard workout. But then we had to figure out, okay, did I take something too far? Mm-hmm. What is MS sore? Because we didn't know that.
Right.
We didn't really get that yet.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was really trying to listen to in my body. Okay, what's different? What's different in my workout that's MS sore? Because I knew in my heart I was going to teach this someday. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know. I wanted to understand the difference in my body that was feeling different.
Yeah. And
so I really started journaling and writing down things that I always did and things that felt different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And I kind of, I didn't do the journaling part, but you have to, from the date you get diagnosed, you have to push your body to the limit. And then you have to remember the things that, really made you feel bad. And try to stay away from those. And it's like a constant adjustment game your whole life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because someday, I think about I'll watch a client that just kicked butt, one day, mm-hmm. and the next day they're exhausted and they feel defeated. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I refuse to hear that come out, because you know what? The weather changed. How much water did you have? Mm-hmm. How did you sleep last night? Yep. All of that goes into a normal person. Yep. But with us, it's so different. Yeah, exactly. And so we don't get to beat ourselves up over that, because, the only bad workout is the one you never showed up for.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. So talk a little bit about your MS Disrupted and, the program that you have. And because I actually sat in on Kathy's MS Disrupted for probably about 4 or 5 sessions, and it is awesome. Yeah, it is really,
Thank you.
Really, really awesome. It's very low impact. Even if you don't have mobility, you can't, you have problems walking, Kathy does exercises with you virtually. and they're so low impact, and
Yes.
it's awesome. But go ahead and talk a little bit more about the MS Disrupted.
Well,
Kathy.
the one that I had you go in was a program that I'm starting, and I really am going slow on it because I've had some things in my personal life, and I did a short podcast on that. And, I'm very, very true to that. If it's not ready, I don't want to put it out because it's just right now I needed to take a pause on it. But I did kind of a trial on it. And I was so grateful that I wanted people in it that's no charge to them just to get their feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really cool because, not everybody can afford one-on-one sessions with me.
Right.
And I know that. I mean, my goodness, I'm very aware of everybody's situations and they're all different.
Right.
And so I wanted to be able to put something together where you could pay a flat fee monthly, and then you were able to stay into a program where you had other people that you could see in the program to work with. And then I would come on with you and do different workouts with you. And also we would do Q&A times where you could talk about, that one I didn't really understand. And so within the program, you will have seated moves, standing moves, and I'll always give you a cue for like, okay, if this arm isn't working, you can do it this way. And so trying to make it, because it's been hard for me because you'll see a lot of programs on, they'll have it put out where they'll just have someone kind of showing a couple moves and then that's it.
Right.
And you have to purchase the program. And I always get so concerned because I've had those clients come back to me and say, they were injured because no one is really helping them.
Exactly.
And so whether it's on demand or something like that.
Right.
And so it really was important to me that I, at least if I'm going to do something like that, where it makes it more affordable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to have contact. I want to be able to have contact with you guys so that I can hear how you feel about the program. What do you feel like you need more of? And so all of those things just meant a lot to me.
Yeah. And like I said, you had me in that trial, and I think it's awesome. And this is somebody that has spent their whole life in a gym, and I joined in, and Kathy just has so much knowledge, especially with people with chronic diseases, and she has so much patience. And you can see her and she can see you, and it's like live. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to starting up again. And, I was going to start it in March, and I thought, I'm going to take a pause, especially because with March being, our month with MS, I think we feel overwhelmed. We want to accomplish a lot during that month, and I don't want to add one more thing.
Right.
So I'm going to take that pause and maybe start in April. We'll see.
Yeah. I know it's going to be real good, Kathy. And,
thank you.
And I want to, I kind of want to go into the other topic while you're taking that pause. And I think that this is really an important, very serious topic that people just don't understand that we as chronic disease warriors go through. Unfortunately, some of us have to go through. And that's the narcissistic relationship that you just got out of. And I know when you went through that, it was right around the holidays. And when I talked to you, my heart was just ripped out of my chest when I found out what you went through. And I just, for you to have the strength to come on here and talk about it right now is just amazing, Kathy. Because I know, and that's just how strong you are. But can you just go?
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, no problem. Can you just go into kind of what happened and, just as much as you want to share with us?
I will. It's still really, really raw. So I will share a little bit. And I know with my faith and what I know that I'm called to do in this, in our world of autoimmune diseases and with multiple sclerosis. And like I said, in my faith, I know that God will strengthen me, and I know that I will be able to look at this in a year or two and I'll be strengthened, and I'll be a stronger warrior for it.
Oh, I know it.
At the time right now, it just, throughout the last few months, it's just really killed me.
Yeah.
And it's something that you, as the target person, you go through so many waves of feeling stupid, feeling, how did I not see this coming? How did I not understand? How did I not understand this?
Yeah.
And I think, the most important thing is, that word has been used so often in the last couple of years. And, I think if we've been in an abusive situation, I grew up with an alcoholic father, and I saw that as a main manipulator. And, I just, when I thought of that word, I thought of my father. Yeah. And I didn't realize that there were different kinds of manipulations and different kinds of people, not just men, but women, can be the same way. And, I didn't understand there were charmers, and that's how I would describe my soon-to-be ex-husband. And those kinds of, they come into your life kind of quickly. Mm-hmm. And that was something that had been done, and they tend to be very complimentary to you. And, they tend to want to jump into your world. And I remember I was taking care of a friend of mine that had surgery, and I came back, and there was a big dumpster truck in my driveway. And I was like, okay, like, what are you doing? And, now I know a lot more, but I didn't know it was his dream to want to start a gym. And, with MS and all of that stuff, it is a big thing to begin a gym. And I knew that he did not. Yeah. And I knew this is something that, you got to hire managers and trainers and, all of those things. And I knew that I didn't have that in me. And, I managed. I loved managing. I loved training trainers. But I knew that, okay, if this man has his own company, how would this ever happen? So there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of financial manipulation. And the couple days before Christmas, it was, a lot of things got worse. And I was unaware that he was sleeping in the basement for the last 6 months or so. Mm-hmm. We had some domestic violence, and he hurt me pretty bad. Yeah. I ended up going to the hospital, which was, honestly, Brian, we talked about this. I think the scariest thing for me is, as a female, the loss of rights, the loss of human rights. Yeah. I think that made me the most terrified to see, even with my brother, when what happened to me was on the phone, on speakerphone with the police and the hospital. Mm-hmm. Because my soon-to-be ex-husband, was on the phone and making these insane
accusations.
Yes, accusations. I had no rights. I literally had no rights. Yeah. And the x-ray of my ribs was done really crappy, and everything was really difficult. Yeah. And once I was able to leave and go stay with my brother, the ride, you can imagine, with broken ribs was extremely difficult. And once I got there, I was able to go to the hospital and get x-rays, which I for sure had broken ribs, and was able to heal. And they're, of course, still not healed, because I'm in the middle of trying to find somewhere to live. And, it's just, I'm devastated trying to come up with the money for a lawyer. He's already had one for some time,
Yeah.
had this all planned, and I knew nothing. He has done this a few times. And so it's scary. And I think, Brian, that one of the scariest things is that as our caregivers, and that's where when I'm talking about what do I see this a year or two from now, when I'm not bleeding as far as my heart,
Mm-hmm.
I can't really give out very much because I need to heal, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm able to give out, I know so many people in so many worse positions than me, meaning that people are in wheelchairs, they can't move like I can.
Yeah.
And they're stuck in positions where their caregivers are abusive, and there's nothing that they trapped, and they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to fight for, are those people who can't get out of those situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, Brian, I never thought I'd be in that.
Yeah.
I thought I am too strong to ever be in a situation where I could be duped or I could be manipulated like that.
Yeah.
But I was. So I think that it's.
And Kathy, I and we talked about this before. It has nothing to do with you getting duped. I mean, it's just, he's just a straight up asshole. And there's just people that are like that, and they're disgusting. And whether it's a female having a narcissistic husband, or a husband having a narcissistic female, it doesn't matter. Right. You can mentally just destroy somebody that has a chronic disease, and people take advantage of that, and it's sickening.
Yeah, it is sickening. And I think narcissism, like I said, it's been overused, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think that people latch on to a word. Years ago it was bipolar. Everybody was bipolar. Mm-hmm. And now, everybody is a narcissist. But I think what we have to understand is that it truly does exist. And if you've gone through it and you've been targeted, you do really understand how terrifying it is.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really, women that are going through this, that feel trapped as I did, everything I have is under his name, my insurance, my car, this house. I've got 3 weeks to get out, and I don't have a place to live.
Yeah.
I just take every day, one day at a time. And, I think of the people that see me as super strong. And I think that's why I felt that I needed to put that podcast out, because even the strongest of us can still get into these situations.
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't, I've been through a divorce. It wasn't what is quote unquote a narcissistic relationship. I mean, we had issues and all that, but it's just, that's just part of the thing that, and people with MS that we go through, and it's just, like I said, it's just sickening to me that somebody can take advantage of somebody with a chronic disease and just do what happened to you, Kathy. I feel terrible about it. And what even gets me a little bit more pissed off, even more, is the way that the police handled it. Because the police were
that was sickening.
They weren't your friend either on this either.
No, they were not. They were not. And to the point where I feel sick about it, but it's to the point where I would honestly not tell even my daughter to go to the police. And who wants to think about that? Yeah. But I would honestly tell my daughter, if something like that happened, don't call the police.
That's just sad that you would think that, and I love police officers. I mean, I think they're very important, but I just can't imagine when you told me that, I'm like, well, did he get arrested? And you're saying no. And I'm like, oh my God, how does the guy not get arrested when he broke your ribs? The time
while I was in the hospital, he came to the house and the neighbors were like, what is going on? He came to the house to get his crap. So yeah, it's been unbelievable, but, we'll see. But, my prayer is that, the people that are able to hear this, think about like, how do I get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And that, in a year from now or whenever, I'm able to fight for them, and I'm able to be a strength and a voice for them.
And I want to emphasize what you did to get out of the situation, Kathy. I mean, you got in your car and you drove from Michigan to Missouri.
My son drove me there.
Yeah,
and I drove back home because I had to. It was time to get back, and it was scary because I thought, he can still get in the house, but it was like time to put my big girl pants on and get home. And it was a long drive. It was the longest drive I've ever had since I've been diagnosed. But it was like time to get home, and you've got to start packing up, girl.
Yeah, because you can't quit, and I know you're never.
No.
I know you're never gonna quit because
No.
You're a badass. I mean.
Podcast, move it or lose it.
Yep, and that's right. You got a podcast, use it or lose it. Kathy, you got so much to offer people, and like I said, I totally love your the MS Disrupted. I would definitely recommend it to anybody when you do get it up and running to check it out. It is awesome to keep your mobility. And Kathy, I'm
doing the one-on-ones still, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just starting the actual program a little bit later. But my one-on-ones are definitely open, and I love doing those. Those are always so special to me.
Yeah. I know you love working one-on-one. You've told me that so many times, and that's just the way you are, Kathy. I know, because you just care about people so much, and and you just want to help people, and you want to help people that have this disease just to keep their independence as long as they can. I mean, Kathy's not going to cure you, but Kathy can keep you at least moving around a little bit better than what we're doing.
It's so joyful to have someone tell me that they stood in the shower for the first time, that they took a walk with their husbands, and gosh, those are just really exciting stories I get to hear. So, Brian, we'd have to get you in for a one-on-one on me. We'll have to do a session.
Absolutely, Kathy. So I'm gonna post it in the description, a link for your website and all that. But you can go ahead and do a shout out with it. And
perfect.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you connect with me on social media on Instagram, it's just at MS Disrupted, and the website is msdisrupted.com. And you can find me on TikTok, and we'll post that at the end, and Facebook, and that's just MS Disrupted. And I'm kind of all over. So YouTube and MS Disrupted, you can find my podcasts. You can listen to them wherever you hear your podcast, or you can watch them on YouTube. So that is where you can find me.
Awesome, Kathy. Kathy, you are, I will definitely have you on again, because I just think that you're just full of so much great information. And and thank you so much for talking about the relationship part of the chronic disease, and you need to be strong and stand up for yourself and get out of that situation. Anything is better than being abused by your supposed caregiver.
Yes. Get out.
Yeah. All right, Kathy, I really thank you so much, and I am going
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, not a problem. Like I said,
I'm so proud of you for starting this.
Hey, you know what? You gave me some inspiration, Kathy. You had me on your podcast, and you know what? It's about time that we start making some noise about this disease and start getting people to understand what the heck it's like having this disease and what we go through.
Yes, and
all right, this is MS Michigan Man 64. I am out. You guys all have a great day until the next show.